This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
It's 11:07 at WPSL 1590. We're talking the Treasure Coast, and you're on Never Alone from HarborPlace and live and direct from HarborPlace. Jack Waldrop. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. You guys must be going absolutely crazy there with all the events you've got going.
We are getting ready for some craziness, that is for sure. This week, that was actually one of the big things I wanted to talk about today is our Wreaths of Hope auction is on Thursday, and that's at 2 o'clock. So that's December 2nd at 2 o'clock. We are still accepting wreaths for that. Currently, we have about 7, which is short from where we were last year. So we're still really begging people to donate donate a wreath for us. We auction those off and all of the money goes to the Alzheimer's Association. We're really excited about it. Last year we raised close to $1,500 and we just want so much more. We want to beat that number. So if you haven't gotten a wreath into us, please, 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 we'll accept them up until the point that we do the auction at 2 o'clock on Thursday. We are excited. All you have to do is drop it off here at HarborPlace and let us know that it's for the Wreaths of Hope. Like I said, it's donated and then we auction it off and all of the proceeds from that auction go to the Alzheimer's Association. So it's a great event. Last year we did it via Facebook Live. And we're going to do that again. However, we are bringing people in and they will be able to actually be here live for the auction this time. So we'll be taking bids via Facebook and live. It'll be an exciting time.
And South Africans don't apply.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's terrible. That's terrible.
So it's a good time. We enjoy it. Last year, like I said, it was all online and I had like 4 people watching the bids while I was trying to keep people going online. And it was fun. We had a lot of fun laughing and cutting up with people, making jokes online as we're trying to do all of it. So we're hoping it's a good fun thing again.
That sounds great. We were over on the west coast of Florida with Indian River State College's Thanksgiving weekend, and not a mask to be found over on the west coast of Florida. It's like nothing's ever happened.
Yeah. And that's a lot of places. We have been very fortunate here at HarborPlace and have had very little cases. I can count on 2 hands how many we've had in the independent living. And I haven't had any in my assisted living, knock on wood. And so we are very much still masked here. Our associates are masked. We have about a 98% vaccination rate for residents, and we are almost at 100% for staff. So, and most of those have booster shots as well. So we are doing everything that we can do to make sure that we're keeping residents safe. And as much and as possible inside the building. It's a little bit harder on the assisted living side or the independent living side because they are able to come and go. They do what they want to do. They go to grocery stores, and what they do outside of the building, I can't control. And even on the inside with independent living, it's Freedom Fair Housing Act. So I can't force them to wear masks on the inside. It's highly encouraged. But I can't make them wear masks. So they still have the freedoms that they would at home. It's just we are doing our best to remind everybody to social distance and wear those masks and do the best we can to keep everybody safe. And remember, it's not just about them, that it's about the community as a whole.
Yeah. And I think we all have to do our part there. I think it just makes common sense.
We do, and I just went on a cruise, a real short one. And I will tell you, they're big time. You wear a mask. There are certain events on the cruise that are for vaccinated people only. And that's, they have specific when they do their shows. That way you can take your mask off when you're sitting in the theater. There's still social distancing. But unless you are actively eating or drinking, they will come around and tell you, put your mask on, and they will hand you one. So I was actually pleasantly shocked about how well they are on keeping everything clean. I mean, there were constantly people walking around cleaning, and then people that their only job was to walk around and hand out masks.
I saw on CNBC, one of the cruise lines, I'm not sure which one it is. If you're unvaccinated, you stay on the bottom floor.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's like, oh my goodness.
Well, and it was actually a little confusing because at first they were saying you had to be vaccinated to get on the boat.
Well, I've heard that too.
But then when you got there, I think the reason is you do have to be vaccinated unless you were below a certain age. And then if you have children that are not vaccinated, you have to have a parent with them that is vaccinated, but they cannot attend certain events that are for vaccinated only people. They had to sit in sections other than vaccinated people. So they're taking it very serious.
Well, I know my friends at the Orlando Magic were telling me that if you're unvaccinated, you can't get within 15 feet of the court itself or
Yes.
the players, even though most of the players are not vaccinated.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the way it is, and the vaccinated folks get better seats. It's simple as that.
Yeah, and like I said, I've been to a couple different concerts and things, and they actually block off the first 3 or 4 rows. And they did the same thing on the cruise ship, like you were talking about with the Magics, and that's because they're trying to keep everybody safe. And then that's the big thing with assisted living and independent living too, is families remembering that we're doing our best to keep the entire community safe. It's a little bit harder when you have multiple families coming in and out, and us trying to maintain that sense of security for the residents that are here who choose not to come and go, and their families choose not to come and go, that we have to remember how to keep them safe as well. And so a lot of times people only think individually, I'm vaccinated, so why should I have to wear a mask? Well, yes, but we're also finding that vaccinated people are not getting their boosters, and so they can carry the virus and not even realize it. And so helping people to remember that we have to think of this as a collective, and until the numbers are down enough that we don't have to think as a collective, we can't be selfish about what's going on. We have to remember that there are other people out there that we could affect, and go from there.
Yeah, I know. And this whole new strain, from what CNBC was reporting from Israel, the fact that it's basically kind of a 2-day event with the headache and small fever, not even large fever. And
Yep.
that's been what they've experienced so far.
Yeah, and remembering that, the common cold, if you feel like you have a common cold, don't risk it. That's where people are getting in trouble. They're still coming around and still doing things when they just feel icky like a common cold, and then come to find out they have a minor case of COVID, and you've now put other people in danger because you thought you just had a sinus issue. And that's where I say you have to think collectively. And that's what we try to do here with our residents, is think what's the best for the community as a whole, and how do we keep the community as a whole safe. I mean, if I could put a bubble around the community, I would definitely do it. And, but like the boy in the bubble, but it is what it is. And we're doing everything we can do to keep the residents as safe as possible.
Well, and you look at it this way too. I mean, when you talk about independent living, it's just that. I mean, they can go out and play golf, they can go out and hike, they can do whatever they want to do. And you just don't know out there. I mean, again, that's something you can't control at all. No,
you can't. And I wish I could. For the most part, our residents, I've actually seen a couple out, and they are wearing their mask. And then we have some that don't, because they feel like they're vaccinated and they have that choice, and that is their right and their choice. And we just try to continue to educate and remind them that just for the betterment of the entire community, we ask that they please wear their masks and for their safety when they're out in the general public as well.
Well, now, you used to remember the private dining rooms that you had. Are they still? I mean, can a family come in and do that or no?
We have actually closed our dining room to outside guests currently. The only outbreak that I've had, which was 6 people in my independent living, we found when we did the contact tracing that it was 2 different tables and they shared it while they were eating.
Wow.
Yeah, we were at one time allowing vaccinated people to eat in our dining room just because you have to take your mask off to eat. However, with the new variant, we put that on a pause. We didn't allow if families could come in for Thanksgiving, but they had to reserve a patio space so they could eat outside, or they could order a family meal that went up to the resident's apartment. We just didn't allow it in the actual dining rooms to keep everyone safe.
You know, that's a good call on your part. Again,
Yeah.
making common sense.
We have all the patio space. It's not cold here during Thanksgiving. It's barely cold here during Christmas. So that's how we did it. We did it more family style. We always have our to-go orders, and they could have ordered individuals, but we decided as a collective that if they wanted to order a family meal, if they were going to have 4 or more people, then we would package it as if it was family style portioned meals. And then it's a little bit more like home. If they're eating in their apartment or eating on the patio, it's not an individual styrofoam container that everybody's eating out of. They were able to eat on their own china and things of that nature. So we had a few that took us up on it. We had a couple, I think we had about 4 that ate outside that they reserved patio space. So it was good.
Boy, that's a great idea. Now, as we look ahead to Christmas, are you going to try and do the same thing if this new strain doesn't throw a
So
wrinkle into
what
it?
we're looking at for Christmas, if the weather allows us, we still want to do something, which it may be outside under our really large portico, so that we could still have some type of entertainment, some hors d'oeuvres, and families can come in with their loved ones, but it won't be nearly what we've done in the past, which I think everybody is saying at this point. You know, they're not able to have all of these open houses, and typically we would decorate the entire building and invite people in and all of those sorts of things. We're still decorating. It's just more for us at this point, and for the residents. We have to take consideration into what's going on, and with a new variant coming out, and we still don't know a whole lot about it, which is going to continue to happen. I know at this point, everybody's like, oh no, another variant. No, we're going to continue to have them, just like the flu. If we remember several years ago, the H1N1 that killed a lot of people because it was a new variant of the flu. I had a dear friend from high school that passed away. She was pregnant, couldn't take anything, ended up catching it. They delivered the baby, and then she passed away. But, you know, all these different variants are going to continue to happen. It's going to be part of life going forward. We just have to learn how to adapt to it, which is, again, part of life.
Yeah. And it's you know, none of us, well, unless you were around in 1918, have had to deal with a pandemic before. And I think
Right
now we're kind of getting not used to dealing with it. That may be a bad terminology, but
no, but you're right. It's an adaptation. You know, we've had to adapt in a lot of ways. Businesses have had to adapt. We as individuals, especially long-term care, we've had to majorly adapt over the past 2 years, and it's been interesting because we went from wanting everybody to be in our building as much as possible to, let's think about this. We're still going to do tours and we're still going to hold events, but how do we keep everyone safe? And it's not something we've had to worry about. We used to worry about it for a short time period during cold and flu season, but nothing major like a pandemic. And so you see every day another long-term care company that has shut their doors. You know, we've in the past 2 months, I know of 2 major players who have closed out their portfolios. And one was 122 buildings, I think, that they sold off and closed their doors because it's been difficult. It's been really difficult.
Wow. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, and I think we're in that. I don't think that's over with. I think you're going to see a lot of lenders that are involved with these portfolios that are calling their covenants because things are difficult on all sorts of ends. And I think you'll start seeing sales of buildings, name changes of buildings. And that's unfortunately one of the things that you get into with a management company, someone that doesn't own and operate their buildings. We are very fortunate with HarborPlace. We have one owner. We own and operate our own buildings. He owns and operates our sister company, which is next door, Life Care Centers of Port St. Lucie. And so we are extremely lucky that we have been able to move forward. We had a decline in occupancy right when the pandemic started, and everybody kind of went into panic and started moving people out because they wanted their loved ones safe at home with them. But I can tell you that I know here particularly, we have already gained every one of them back and then some. So it's tough. This market is tough right now. People are still scared to move family members in because they think they can't see them once they move them in, which isn't the case. You know, we try to only take people who are vaccinated. That's one of our requirements at this point because they are older, and we want to make sure, unless they have a health reason not to, and then only then do we put them on a 2-week quarantine when they come in. Other than that, family members, as long as they're vaccinated, can come and go with them to see them, or we can have them outside so that they can see them and they don't have to go through the quarantine periods that we used to have to go through.
Okay, kind of explain, how do you quarantine somebody after they've moved in? They have to stay in their apartment then?
They do. They stay in their apartment. Our staff take precautions. They put on PPE, personal protection equipment, and go in and out of the room. We basically treat them as if they have the virus for a 2-week period, so that if they were to have any symptoms that came up during that period, we're already set to go and we can keep them safe. But we haven't had that problem. Most of, if not all of ours that have come in have been vaccinated. And so we don't require that time period. We just monitor them for the first few days to make sure that everything's good.
That's great. And I know that, as a guest, you have to stop by the front desk and there's a screening thing there. I don't know what it is, but that seems to be very efficient.
We do. So we have a thing called AccuShield. That's at our front desks. That it asks you all the pertinent information. It takes your temperature. It signs you into the community, gives you a badge. It's our way of checking everything without my front desk running the risk of not answering a question properly or having to have that one-on-one and checking your temperature manually. This does it all through the machine. It runs reports for us. It's fantastic. It keeps us in compliance with the things that need to get asked, and keeping everybody at a temperature check when you come in too.
Geez, if you don't have enough paperwork.
Well, that's the reason we went to these, is because we didn't want any more paperwork. We were doing everything manually and you had to put it on a piece of paper, and then I reviewed it and signed it every day. So it was a lot, and there was a lot of papers starting to stack up. And so this company, AccuShield, has been around for a very long time. They didn't have this. It was just a signing in and out type thing. So COVID actually forced them to put together this program where it had a temperature check and everything on it. So We rolled it out to all of our communities nationwide. So we're in 19 states, and it's been fantastic.
So, once again, HarborPlace is on the cutting edge of doing this and protecting its residents. I think this is great.
We do. We try really hard, and we're actually getting, so we have one in each building. And in January, we're going to get a third, so that when we have events, because if you've ever been here, typically you come in and out the front of our independent living and go straight down a hallway to our big meeting room. But there's a door that you can come in and out from the back. And so we're getting another one so that all events will come in through the back of the building, and you'll be able to sign in there, have your temperature checked, and then you would come into the large meeting room. It's just another way to keep the residents safe. And if it's a large group, sometimes it gets crowded at the front, they have to wait in line, it just gets a little bit more difficult. So we're gonna get that in place so that when we're having big meetings or events, then we'll have that in the back as well. And we're getting back to hosting those things because we figured we are adjusting and coming in through the back. We rent out that meeting space to people. You're able to come in and rent the space. You can order through our kitchen. We have next week, we actually have a church that's coming in, and they're doing a meal here in the back. The only things we don't do are like big family birthday parties, things like that. That's not what the space is for. But if you're having some type of business meeting, things of that nature, you are able to rent our big meeting space and have meals out of the dining room. And our catering menu is actually it's nice. So you have a little bit more choices than what most places have, because we have that full kitchen.
Wow. So if you're out driving around, you're part of a big business group or something like that, feel free and give you a call. I think that's a great idea, because that you are right. That's a long hallway, but it leads out to all the apartments on either side. And
Yes.
coming in the back way, it seems like a perfect solution.
It's a door that goes directly into that meeting space. So it does. We do the same thing. We are a voting poll, and the voters always have to come in through the outside door too. So it's not something that we're not used to. It's just not what we used for large events, because we wanted people to come through the nicely decorated building and to see it as they went through. But with everything going on, we want to keep everybody safe. And so we're adjusting and getting all of that taken care of. So we're just excited to start offering those things again. I mean, we have an Alzheimer's support group that meets here monthly. So all kinds of things that go on that we're getting back to our new norm as much as possible.
I'm getting sick of adjusting. I've been doing it for 2 years.
You're right. So we laugh because when I took the job here and moved to Port St. Lucie, I came on in January. I was here 2 weeks and the pandemic started. I was here at 4 weeks and I had to shut down and close the entire building. And that was not fun. And I have been here through an entire pandemic. And it's been crazy. It's been crazy, but we're doing the best we can. Residents are happy, and that's all we can hope for, is for everyone to be happy and enjoy and love where they're living.
That's going to be one of the first chapters in the Waldrop Chronicles.
Right. Is how to survive a pandemic and a new job. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
7 easy lessons.
Yes.
And available on Amazon now. Oh,
that's right. But it's the truth. It's every day we feel like we're having to step back and punt and look at something different because we used to do it this way and we can't do that anymore. And so it's a good thing. Change is good. Change is not always bad. So we have to keep looking at it that way, that things are changing for the better. Yeah.
And
now, if we ever get in another pandemic, we know how to handle it.
Oh, God. Don't even say that. We just got to get out of this one first.
I know. I'm ready.
Yeah, I think we are. There's no doubt about it. So the Wreath event coming up. Yep.
So Wreath Event on Thursday. It's our Wreaths of Hope. It's our second annual. So anybody that's listening that wants to donate a wreath, we ask that you just bring one by, drop it off at the front desk in the independent living and tell us it's for the Wreaths of Hope. And we auction them off. Typically we try to get close to $100 for each wreath. So we ask that it be a decent size wreath. That's been our difficulty this year, is everybody's being a little bit more cost conscious, and so the wreaths are a little bit smaller. But if you want to donate one, we'll take whatever you want to give to us. We greatly appreciate it. When it's all said and done, all the money that we raise in the auction will go to the Alzheimer's Association. And so if anybody knows anything about long-term care, that's one of the biggest contributors to what's going on in the world of Alzheimer's. We want to make sure to support them. We personally do not have a memory care, but we do know that that is a forerunner of helping find a cure for Alzheimer's or continuing the slow process of Alzheimer's.
Well, knowing several folks who've had it, sometimes I think I have, but it's just a ruthless disease, and
It is.
if we can get that cure, that would be marvelous.
I was actually watching a TikTok video the other day, and it was an elderly lady who had dementia, and she was looking in the mirror, and she had no idea who the person in the mirror was. She was laughing and giggling because they kept saying that's Betty, who was her name, and she was like, my name's Betty. But it was the cutest little video, and it warmed my heart, because that's a good day for a resident that has Alzheimer's or dementia, that she's looking in the mirror, even though she doesn't recognize the person. She was sweet to her, was introducing herself, trying to tell her, come on, let's go do things. It was sweet, because there are those days, if you're a caregiver, where you just feel like nothing you're doing is getting through to that person. The redirection is not working. It's hard. This is my first community that's not had a memory care, and memory cares and residents with severe dementia or that have Alzheimer's. It's really difficult.
Having known this fellow for, I don't know, maybe 50 years, Tony Bennett had a television special the other night.
Yep.
And Carol and I were watching it. And of course, we saw him at the Sunrise here. And you look at the songs that he sang, and they were the old Cole Porter songs that he loved. That was his favorite composer. And you think, okay, and none of the newer stuff, and even struggle with San Francisco, but the man's amazing at 95 years old that he could function. But it was like even Lady Gaga knew when, okay, this is over,
Right.
This is as far as he can go,
Yep. And from what I was reading about that special, was they've been practicing and rehearsing for several months.
Yes.
And so I just thought it was fantastic that Lady Gaga was willing and wanting to do that, because so many times we just put people in Alzheimer's in a bubble, and we don't want to upset them, and we fail to remember that they're still a person, and they still have hopes and dreams. And that's what he did. He was a performer. And so to bring him back out and be able to perform again, and possibly the last time he will ever perform again, recognizing that, I give huge props to Lady Gaga that she was willing and wanting to do that with him and for him.
Yeah, I think it was amazing. And of course, his arranger was playing the piano with him. And I mean, it was like there were so many familiarities there.
Yep.
And with a large orchestra, and the whole event was simply amazing. And he was.
He was in his element, and for that short time period, he was what he used to be.
Yes. Oh,
and
yeah.
That's what it was all about.
Yeah, hitting the notes, everything. It was like,
oh yeah,
you got to be kidding me. This could have been 40 years ago,
Yeah, and that's part of it. People with Alzheimer's, and there's different cases, but 9 times out of the 10, they remember their long time ago. And that's why a lot of times they look in the mirror and they don't know who it is, because what they remember is someone 40, 50 years ago. And what they're seeing in the mirror is an old person that's not them. They're not that old. And so they remember back then and those things they used to. I've had residents that were nurses, ICU nurses. I had one that was a pediatric nurse, and every day she needed to go to work. And so we had to set up, or we didn't have to, but we did. We set up a little area that she was able to take care of babies, and there were baby dolls, and that's what kept her content, because that's what she remembered. She needed to get up to go to work. She needed to take care of those babies. And because she thought she was 40 years younger than what she was. So it's a struggle. But it's like I said, I'm just overwhelmed with pride for Lady Gaga for recognizing that and wanting to do that special.
Yeah, it was an amazing night. There's no doubt about it. And looking to the local side of the Alzheimer's Association, they do such a marvelous job with like their daycares,
Mhm.
care centers,
Yep.
and around the Treasure Coast. Yeah, they can certainly use the funds. There's no doubt about it.
For sure. And there's a lot of places. If you are taking care of a loved one at home and don't want to put them in a memory care or to an assisted living, and they have memory issues, there are things out there to help you. We can help you with that as well. If you have a family member that wanders, there is a company that will put it's not a tracker. I hate to say that because that sounds horrible, but it looks like a watch that they put on their wrist, and it has a GPS in it so that they can make sure that they're safe, and they monitor it and things of that nature. So there are things out there to help you. Please don't think like that you're alone in what you're doing. Like our show is, you're never alone. There's always something out there that can help you. If we can't help you here, maybe you don't have the funding, or you're able to take care of your loved one. You just want to make sure that there's an extra padded of safety. Just reach out to us. Or to myself, I can get you in contact with those people, and we'll be happy to make sure that happens.
Yeah, we know the folks at Project Lifesaver, and it's such a marvelous, marvelous project, and they've saved thousands of people over the years.
Oh, I'm sure, and it's great, and I because I do what I do. I mean, I would have no problem putting my mother or my father in a building that I was comfortable with, but that's because I do this for a living and I know what to look for. But there are those out there that have made promises that I will never put you in a home and things of that nature. And so it's much harder decision to make. And there comes a time where you have to outweigh, is it going to affect your health or your loved one's health to continue to take care of them yourself? Because 9 times out of 10, your loved one would not have wanted you to give up your life to take care of them and keep them safe. And so that's where we come in. We are there to make sure that they stay independent, that you continue to have the independence of your life, but your loved one is being taken care of and you don't have to worry about them.
Yeah, we went through that. We had Carol's mom with us for about 8 years, and seeing what Carol went through, it was just awful. I mean,
it takes a toll on caregivers. It does.
It does.
Because one, you have to remember that, you're taking care of your mother or your father or your mother-in-law and in ways that a child should never have to take care of their parent. And so that gets hard. And so that's where assisted livings and independent livings, and that's where we come in. We are the ones that are there to help take care of them. And I'll tell you now, my mother does not want me to do any type of physical care like that for her if she ever gets to that point. And she has no girls. It's just the two of us, 2 boys. And so, my dad, we will take care of him, but it's one of those things where it's dignity. You want to make sure that they continue to have their dignity in everything that they're doing. and you as well, because it takes a toll on the caregiver. A lot of times we talk about the resident and what we do for them, but we forget the life that the caregiver gets back, the stress that comes off of them, the worrying about, are they going to wake up in the middle of the night? And so you're not sleeping through the night. All of those sorts of things we forget to talk about a lot. And that's where you have to weigh the options. Is my quality of life and my loved one's quality of life going to improve if we make this decision to move them somewhere? Because you want that, as you don't want to decline, especially with a husband and wife. I see this all the time. Husband is very independent, still doing things. Wife declines, they take care of wife, and it's a matter of weeks before dad is all of a sudden extremely declined to the point where he and mom are both in the same boat. Now we have to make a decision. Those are things that you really need to weigh from the beginning. Just because you move into an assisted living doesn't mean that both of them are going to need the care. It just means that we're here to be that extra help for mom so that dad continues to be as independent and have that life, because he needs to be able to maintain his independence and dignity as well. It's one of those things. Like I said, you have to sit back and think and really weigh the options on it. Dad, is this going to make you decline by take caring mom? And if that's so, that's not what we want to see. We want to see you continue to thrive while you have some help taking care of mom.
Yeah, I agree. And I've seen that dozens of times where, it's the poor caregivers. I mean, my goodness, because everything falls on their shoulders.
It does. And especially in most of the elderly homes, he was the breadwinner. She took care of the house. She cooked all the meals. So when she declines and he has to take care of it, that's a life change for both of them, because he's not used to being the one that's cleaning the house and the one that's cooking all of the meals. And so that causes him to get more stressed and him to have to go, wait a minute, what's going on? But he wants to still take care of his wife. And that's perfectly normal. We see it more that way than we do a wife and husband, because she's used to taking care of the kids and taking care of the house. And so it's just a matter of the same thing that she's always done. It's just now it's with the husband. So the 9 times out of 10, we see it as more the husband is taking care of the wife and he's declined because he's not used to taking care of both of them like that.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. That's so true. Any other events for December? Good grief. 3/4 of the show's already gone. My goodness. This flies by when you're around.
I know. I love it. But I can talk to the wall. So that's usually the way it is. But yeah, I was the kid in elementary school that it didn't matter where you moved me, I was going to talk to somebody. But so far, and like I said, we're still trying to plan some type of outdoor event for the community and for our residents and loved ones in about the middle to the end of December. We're going to have some entertainment for residents, of course, in and out of there. But our big one is our Wreaths of Hope coming up this Thursday. If anybody, like I said, I know I keep begging for wreaths, but the more wreaths we have, the more money we make for the Alzheimer's Association. So get those wreaths in. Like I said, we're going to accept them all the way up until the point that we start the auction, which is Thursday at 2. And so if you want to come on and bid on a wreath as well, we would love that. And it'll be posted on our Facebook page as well. So you can see the wreaths that we do have before the auction starts. And then anything that we get after tomorrow, when we post it, won't be available till Thursday during the live auction. So watch our Facebook page because those wreaths will come out on the Facebook page tomorrow. And then we will go from there.
So if we have business owners out driving around right now that want to contribute a wreath, you're willing to take it. And if you see a bunch of them coming in, skidding in on 2 wheels, ready to toss the wreaths out at $159.50, you're ready.
Look, I don't even care. Bring it in at 202. It's all about raising money for the Alzheimer's Association. So we like to have we had a cutoff date for the end of, I think it was actually yesterday, just so we can have a general idea. But we are still accepting them. Please bring them by. I would love to come into the office tomorrow and by lunchtime have 7 more wreaths. Even if you're not even a business owner, if you're just an individual that wants to donate a wreath, we do give you recognition that who made the wreath and who donated it. So please bring it on by and we will auction it off, and we will make sure that you get recognition for it as well.
Well, that could be any church folks
Yes.
around the Treasure Coast. This sounds like an amazing idea, and it all goes to Alzheimer's.
So it's the same premise. There's a lot of places that do like a festival of trees, and they auction off trees. We just don't have the space really to do the trees. So we started the wreaths last year, and it was such a success that we wanted to continue to do the wreaths. Eventually, when we can get everybody back in, we want so many wreaths that it lines that long hallway. And you can walk around and view it like an art show, and then you'll be able to make your bids. And it'll take several years for us to get to that point. We know that, but that's our goal, is to continue to strive for that.
That would be very cool. Yeah, and that hallway seems to go forever. I mean, it does.
It does.
that would be an amazing show.
Yeah. Yep. And that's, like I said, that's the goal, is we want to try to get upwards of 50 wreaths over the years and continue to, if we can try to get $100. We don't always get $100 per wreath because some of them are smaller, but that's the goal, is to get as much money per wreath as possible.
And by the way, you can tell your recreation director, I tried one of those bouncing balls and nearly killed myself over it. Trying to bounce on that thing.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of bouncing on the balls. We do a thing called cardio drumming, where they put the ball in a chair and they drum on it to exercise. And it's just beating on it, but they have a lot of fun with it. We do it in both our independent and our assisted living. We do cardio drumming. The other big thing here recently has been chair Zumba. So they do Zumba, but they're still sitting in the chair. And it's all done to oldies music, music that they recognize, and they have a lot of fun with it. It's about a 30-minute program, so it's fun.
Wow, Zumba in a chair.
Yep.
I might have to try that one. That sounds great.
Yeah, they still move their legs, and it's great. So if you have someone that's not as sturdy on their feet, they can still sit in the chair, and they're able to do a lot of arm motions. They do feet movement. So you don't have to worry about hurting a hip or hurting your knees. You sit in the chair the whole time and you still get your exercise. So it's fantastic.
I remember a few years back when you actually had some like respite care.
We do.
May have had knee surgery, something like that.
We still do respite for our assisted living. And the only change since the pandemic is we used to do a minimum of 2 weeks. Now our minimum is a month. You have to be here for 4 weeks. You don't have to physically be here for 4 weeks, but you are financially responsible for 4 weeks. It's just because it's a lot of paperwork and things of that nature because of COVID. We want to make sure that if you're coming in and you're not vaccinated, you're quarantined for 2 weeks and you're only here for 2 weeks, it's not much of a purpose. And so we only accept those that are here for a month.
Yeah. And there's so much to rehab and doing it right. I mean, I think that's really important.
It is. And we've had several that have been here for 4 weeks and have decided, their families have just decided, you know what, this is fantastic. Let's just make this a permanent move. And ultimately, in a respite, that is the goal, is to give you a break as the loved one taking care, or they've needed a little bit more or rehab, and they've come from a long-term care rehab setting to us for a short time period, and then the ultimate goal is to go home. But a lot of times you find that they do better staying than going back to their home. Typically, if they go back to their home, it's someone that was extremely independent before, fell and broke a hip, went through rehab, and was able to get back to the point that they were. and then they typically go home. And we've had some that have just moved over to our independent living instead of being the assisted living. So it's just the ability to have it.
Yep. And I was going to ask you, I say, have people ever started in the assisted and gone the other way to independent?
It's not very often. I'll be honest with you. It's typically someone that maybe broke an ankle and is able to do their own medication management, things like that. They just need help getting up and down, things of that nature. So now I do have one who was in independent living, went over to assisted living because his wife needed assisted living. And then when she passed away, he stayed there for a short time period and is now back in independent living because he was independent. He does his own medications, things like that anyway. So he's back over here and he's doing great. He's 90 years old. He led exercise last weekend. So it's doing him some good to be back in independent living as well.
Wait a minute, 90-year-old exercising.
Yep.
What am I doing? I'm really doing something wrong.
Yeah, he does. He leads it on the weekends on Saturday mornings.
That's so cool. That's amazing. Yeah. You've got an incredible operation there.
We try. We really do try. And we love resident-led activities because that means they're still having their independence and they're able to do those things. So as much as we can have them, we try to do them, especially on the weekends. We want them to be really active because there's less going on in the communities. And so we have them doing exercise, or I have a group that plays shuffleboard and they do it themselves every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock and all of that. So we love resident led because that shows that they're still that independent.
And of course, full contact bingo.
Yes, bingo, wonderful bingo. We can't, you'll never be able to take away bingo, but we had our super bingo last quarter. We're going to have it again next quarter. It was a lot of fun. We had an Elvis impersonator that came in and did it. So we will be having that again next quarter. So after the first of the year. So watch out for more information on that one.
Well, yeah, I'd hate to read the newspaper headline, "Insurrection at HarborPlace." Bingo out the front door.
People take bingo seriously.
Oh, I know they do. I've seen it. It's crazy.
They do.
It's so much fun. That is so much fun. Now, if folks want to take a tour, is Pat available to lead?
Yes. All you have to do is give us a call. Our number is 772-337-4330. You can ask for Pat. You can ask for myself. Pat is my wonderful sales director. She's available for tours. Myself, I can do tours as well. And actually, even if either one of us are not here and you want to have a tour, we'll either schedule you or we'll ask you to come on in and one of my other directors can give you a tour. We don't ever turn away a time period to show anybody our wonderful building.
That's great news. That really is good news. So again, we've got about 4 minutes left. The Wreath is Thursday, right?
Thursday, 2 o'clock. That's when we will do our live auction. And again, individual, business, whoever, if you want to drop off a wreath to us or drop it off to our front desk in the independent living, let them know it's for Wreaths of Hope. And we will be auctioning those off. All of the money goes to the Alzheimer's Association. And so we hope to raise about $100 a wreath. And last year we raised about $1,500. We want to exceed that goal this year. We did have a few more wreaths last year than we currently have. So we're still asking if you want to donate a wreath to please bring that in. And then anytime you want to tour, or if you want to come to the Wreaths of Hope auction, just give us a call. Let us know you want to come. 772-337-4330. And that'll then be on Tuesday. And then if you want to tour, call that number as well. Ask for myself, ask for Pat. And we will set you up a tour so that you can come in and tour our independent living and our assisted living, even if you don't need it for now. You just want to get in the database, or if you want to put down a deposit on a room space for when you're ready for it, we do those as well. It's called a wait list. And then you get first right of refusal. So say you want to make sure you have a 2-bedroom on the first floor with a patio view. or a patio with a view, you can put a deposit down on that particular room. When it comes available, we'll call and say, hey, are you ready? We're giving you first right of refusal to take possession. And if not, then you'll go down we'll rent it out to someone else. And then it comes available again, we'll ask you again. It just gives you that first right to refuse if that space comes available for you. So it's just one of those things where we want to get you in here and take a look and decide, hey, this is where I want to be. And then we do what we can to make sure it's a smooth process, even if it's 6 months from now.
So have you seen an influx of snowbirds coming in as the holidays approach?
Not as many as we have in the past, but typically our snowbirds really start more in January. They do Thanksgiving and Christmas with their loved ones, and then they head on down, or they're already here and are with loved ones for a short time period. So ours picks up from January to about March or April.
Wow. Okay. Well, and that's the later snowbird season.
Yeah.
If you will. Well, Jack, boy, we've done it again. But again, the Wreaths of Hope is Thursday at 2 at HarborPlace. That sounds simply amazing. How do folks get in touch with you?
Give us a call, 772-337-4330. You can stop by and see us, 3700 Southeast Jennings Road, or you can go on centurypa.com and look up HarborPlace and shoot us an email that way as well. If you've been here, shoot us a Google review. We like to know how we're doing and how the building looks and things of that nature. Go on there and give us however many stars you want to give us and give us a review. We want everybody else to know the experiences that you've had and the wonderful times you've had here at HarborPlace.
Well, I'll tell you, every time I walk in there, I could give you a 5-star review. The place is spotless, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Go on there, go on Google and let everybody know how you feel about it.
Okay, we'll do. No doubt about it. You have to go to HarborPlace where you're never alone. Jack, have a good week.
You too.
You've been listening to Never Alone right here on WPSL Port St. Lucie. WPSL Global, talking the Treasure Coast.